The patrol carrier drifted through the pale amber clouds of the frontier, nebula while its hull vibrated under the strain of repeated evasive bursts. Commander Leon had been in the cockpit for 14 hours, guiding his small craft through a lawless region that had swallowed many of his allies. His mission had been simple: intercept a raider, collect intelligence, return home. Instead, he had stumbled upon a wreck drifting between two fractured asteroids, leaking coolant into the slow-turning haze. The wreck had belonged to the Viheran, a species humanity had been locked in conflict with for decades. Their sleek twin-fin vessels were distinct even in ruin. Leon hesitated when he saw it, but the faint distress beacon pulsed quietly, steady enough to suggest at least one survivor protocol demanded withdrawal. Experience suggested caution. His own conscience pressed him forward. In war zones, mercy was a forgotten currency, but Leon had never been able to abandon someone in a failing craft, not even a sworn enemy. He sealed his helmet, detached a shuttle, and crossed the short distance toward the broken Viheran vessel. The interior was dim. Cracks lined the curved metallic walls like darkened veins. Leon moved carefully, sweeping his light across floating debris, scorched panels, and clawed scorch marks from explosive decompression. At first, he thought the beacon had malfunctioned, and no one remained alive. Then he heard a thin whimper near the aft cradle. A small Viheran child lay trapped beneath part of a collapsed bulkhead. The child's iridescent skin flickered weakly, bioluminescence dimming with each breath. Leon dropped to one knee, lifted the metal, and slipped his arms beneath the small form. The child clung to him instinctively, trembling even as consciousness faded. Leon felt the heat of the little one's feverish skin through the suit's insulation. He did not pause. He carried the child back to the shuttle, set it gently on a field stretcher, and initiated emergency treatment with the onboard medkit. When the child's breathing steadied, Leon allowed himself a single moment of relief. That moment was interrupted by a harsh alarm as long-range sensors caught the approach of a Viheran warship, unmistakably drawn by the same beacon. Leon cut the beacon, secured the shuttle inside his carrier, and accelerated out of the nebula. He sent no identification signal. He could not risk an encounter. The Viheran had superior speed and knew these regions far better. His best chance was stealth. The child awoke 12 hours later in the medbay of the carrier. Though small, the Viheran were known for keen perception. The child's luminous eyes widened when they fell upon Leon, then narrowed with the instinctive distrust of a species taught to fear humans. Leon raised a hand slowly, showing he meant no harm. The child studied him, then pointed weakly to a small crystal hanging from a cord around its neck. Leon lifted it gently and held it close. The child murmured one word. Myra.Leon recorded the word in his log. It matched a Viheran naming pattern. He offered the child water, helped her sit up, and spent the next hour trying to ease her confusion. He knew she did not understand his language, and he did not understand hers, but tone bridged some of the distance. When she grew tired, she lay back down and clutched the crystal against her chest. Leon made a decision that placed him at odds with his orders. He turned the carrier toward an uncharted corridor in the region where diplomatic emissaries sometimes passed. He had heard rumors that a neutral enclave existed where war groups left their disputes behind, but he had never visited. If he could find it, he might return the child to her people without sparking an incident. The trip took 3 days. During that time, he checked on Mira regularly. She became less wary, though she still watched him with a level of curiosity reserved for beings far outside her familiar world. She mimicked some of his motions. She tapped his sleeve when she needed help. She traced diagrams on his datapad to explain the pain still lingering in her side. Leon found himself speaking naturally to her, even though she could not comprehend the words. It made the cold corridors feel less empty. On the 4th day, The sensors picked up a faint transmission, a coded signal used only by Viharan diplomatic vessels. Leon followed it until a small artificial moon came into view, suspended in the shadow of a massive ice ring. The Enclave. His pulse quickened with cautious hope. Before he could hail them, a massive cruiser shifted into view, its hull gliding from behind the ice ring like a silent guardian. The cruiser dwarfed his carrier. Leon cut speed instantly, raised empty hands toward the comm panel, and transmitted a message of non-hostility. He announced that he carried a Viharan child rescued from a wreck. He waited in tense silence until a voice responded, "Bring the child forth. Do not engage weapons. Stand by for boarding." A docking tube extended from the cruiser. A team of armored Viharan entered his ship. They scanned him, scanned Myra, then consulted a holographic projection. One stepped forward, dark eyes locked on Leon. "You rescued the daughter of a high commander." Leon's breath caught. He had expected the child to be important, but not this significant. The soldier continued. "Her mother seeks her." "You will come aboard." Leon carried Mira through the docking tube. The cruiser's interior was a graceful architecture of curves and reflective surfaces. Viharan walked with controlled precision, their bodies slender but strong. Mira pointed excitedly to a passing cluster of crystalline panels that pulsed with soft violet light. For the first time since Leon found her, she smiled. They entered a wide chamber where an imposing figure waited. The High Commander. Her presence was unmistakable. Tall, poised, eyes like polished obsidian. She wore minimal armor, relying instead on the quiet force of her authority. When her gaze landed on Myra, a visible tremor ran through her stance. She strode forward and knelt before the child, who rushed into her embrace. Leon watched the reunion without interfering. He had seen many parents greet lost children, but the Viharan commander's expression carried a fierce mixture of relief and vulnerability rare among her people. The commander rose while keeping one hand on Myra's shoulder. She turned to Leon. He expected suspicion or restrained contempt, but instead she studied him with a calm intensity. "You protected my child at the risk of your own life. You ventured into our territory while avoiding conflict. This act cannot be dismissed." Leon nodded slightly. "I only did what anyone should." "Not anyone," she replied. "My name is Raylan." Raylan extended her hand in the Viharan gesture of gratitude. Leon responded with the closest human equivalent. Their palms never touched, but the symbolic exchange bridged the space between two peoples long divided by hostility. Mira tugged on Raylan's arm and pointed toward Leon while speaking quickly. Raylan listened, then offered a faint smile. "She is telling me how you watched over her, how you tended her injuries, how you spoke even when you knew she could not understand. She says you made the dark less frightening." Leon felt a stirring of warmth at the child's words. He bowed his head, unsure how to respond. Raylan's expression shifted from gratitude to something deeper. She gestured toward a seating alcove. "Walk with me." They moved along a corridor, lined with starlit panels that projected shifting constellations. Raylan walked close beside him, her pace slow. Intentional. "Our peoples have been trapped in conflict for so long that simple acts of compassion weigh heavily on the scale. You may have altered the path of two nations." Leon hesitated. "I acted because it was right." "Nothing more." Raylan glanced at him. "Some truths are simple. Others are shaped by bonds that form in unexpected moments. Your care for Myra has left a mark on her. And on me." Leon felt a flicker of confusion, then understanding. Raylan was not merely expressing gratitude. Her voice carried a softness unusual for a commander, a quiet current of admiration, the kind that formed when trust arrived without warning. Raylan continued. "In our culture, one who protects a child at great personal risk is considered bound to the family's honor. Some even share a deeper connection. Myra has accepted you already, and I find myself drawn to the strength and gentleness you showed her." Leon looked away toward the starlit panels. He had not expected this. The war, the distance between their peoples, the sheer difference in their worlds, all stood between them. Yet Raylan spoke without hesitation, as if those barriers were shadows easily stepped through. "I do not know what future there can be between our peoples," he said, "but I know I care about her safety. And I meant every choice I made." Raylan stepped closer. Her voice lowered. "Then know this. I desire unity with those who show such courage. And I find that I desire something more personal as well." Leon felt the weight of her words. They were bold, direct, and sincere. Not a demand. Not an expectation. A revelation of feeling from someone who rarely revealed anything at all. Myra suddenly appeared around the corner, running toward them with a small hollow device in her hands. She activated it, projecting an image of Leon carrying her through the dim wreck. Someone from the boarding crew had assembled the memory from surveillance footage. Myra held the projection toward Raylan, her eyes shining. Raylan placed a hand on Myra's head, then turned to Leon. "She wants you to stay with us for a time, so she may show you her world." I would not oppose that. In truth, I would welcome it. Leon exhaled slowly, feeling the pull of an unexpected path forming before him. A bridge between enemies. A bond with a child he had protected. A connection with a commander whose strength and honesty resonated with him. He spoke.